one of you guys mentioned Balaji before, and he brought up the idea on the Lex Fridman podcast of, I'm not sure if it was his idea, but at least he brought this to light. At least my understanding of it is some kind of IoT, Internet of Things, lab equipment. You know, some kind of idea where, for example, like, you know, the temperature of the room would automatically be recorded, or each device, each you know, bit of equipment.
Metadata.
Exactly, all the metadata. So the serial number of each device, and then, you know, theoretically you could link that back along the what do you call it, the production chain, and you know that came from XYZ factory in China, and then the you know, the resources or the metals that maybe this machine was made from, you can source that back, and so you can get really granular when it comes to all of the external things that affect experiments and things. And I think that's a really interesting space to kind of think about. What do you guys have any opinions on that? The kind of Internet of Things lab equipment idea?
Yeah. So that's far coming because what you're going to need is you're going to need blockchain integrated machinery hardware for that to really happen. But that is something definitely I see coming down the line. I think the most impactful point from that is to the replication crisis. So for listeners who don't know, science, though it informs how we operate in civilization down to the most granular things that we do, most science has been shown to be non-replicable. So that means, as an example, if someone publishes a paper, it's very hard for people to take that same paper, redo the experiment, and come to the same conclusion. This is the replication crisis. Now, part of that is, again, active malfeasance, and some of that is just lack of granular information about what is going on. So, for example, if you're in a location and there's a machine and an earthquake goes off, and that throws off the metrics of the machine, now all the data is going to be skewed, right? There is a lot of environmental impact of all forms that will skew experiments and cause variabilities. This whole Internet of Things is a way to kind of smooth out that trend so that we can go all the way back and make sure that on that day we can determine the humidity level and all these kind of things that might have played into regulating or changing the results of that experiment. So having that Internet of Things, the point that I think Balaji was bringing up, or part of the point that he was bringing up, is that blockchain and the Web3 infrastructure will hopefully allow us to address these things and deal with, or at least have a better tool set to deal with this replication crisis.
Yeah, I kind of want to, again, I don't want to be too much of a contrarian, but I want to take a slightly different point of view. So in this particular example, Jelani, as a scientist, it comes across the replication crisis as a huge problem in his field, and in science in general, it is a massive problem. It's publicized as such, so even for us that aren't scientists, it is a big problem for us too, and what we consume in pharmaceuticals and all kinds of anything that gets put through the research is a problem with us. This is now a problem for us too, right? The Internet of Things, though, by definition, will be omnipresent everywhere, right? This concept of tracking all types of data will be omnipresent everywhere. So it will be in places where people who aren't affected by these things will have it. And this is just kind of like so when it comes to blockchain is immutable, right? Which is a fantastic thing for many reasons. And we on the pro crypto side are saying, well, look, we can hold our leaders to account. We can hold our financial institutions to account because we can see what they're doing and we can hold them to account. And that's great and it's true. But there is two sides to every coin, the yin and the yang. And that means that everything that we do on the blockchain is immutable. And anything that we do can be held to account. And that's the same for the Internet of Things. Whilst the Internet of Things collects all kinds of data, which helps many specific issues uniquely, right? The way that the Internet of Things will help the replication crisis is unique to that method. There's no other thing that will do it such, unless you get everybody to record it at the same time every day, but which just won't happen. So it provides a unique set of benefits, but it also provides a unique set of challenges, just like blockchain does, in the sense that you're collecting data that maybe people don't want to be collected. You're making assumptions on data, which we do all the time right now. And I think that as a concept is a huge problem. You make assumptions based on data, based on statistics, and then you put policies in place to combat those assumptions, right? And that is incredibly anti-human. The more tech that we introduce into every aspect of our lives, the less human we become. And for some, that is actually a benefit, because humans are fallible and weak and stupid and whatnot, which I am not a believer into that point of view. So the Internet of Things, whilst it's going to solve many critical issues and it's going to do it in a fantastic way, we really must be cognizant in this space about the unique challenges that it's going to bring, such as massive, global, continuous surveillance, and what will be done with that information once it's gathered, what policies will be made, what opinions. Most people don't make policies, most people follow policies. So there's a very small subsection of people that will see this data, make policies, and the rest of us will just live in that world. And we need to just be very careful what data we're gathering, how, and how much of it. Data is attractive for lots of people. They like to just sift through the data and find patterns, and we need to just be very careful about what's done once those patterns have been found.
So I don't want to harp on this point too much, right? But I want to make one statement. So to be counter-contrarian to Josh, and I want to stipulate this with DAOs. So I think it's Eugene Leventhal or somebody made a commentary that the best organization, this speaks directly to DAO. So the best organization is one that is made up of people who don't like each other, but have a common goal. Now, Josh and I very much like each other, but we do have slightly different views, right? But we very much share a common goal. And so to his point of, some people, not everybody's going to make the policies and we're going to have this Orwellian network state of Big Brother always looking at us. That's very true. Now, the silver lining under that is that all of that is going to be transparent, or most of that is going to be transparent. So different from how it is today, the people who are making the policies and people who are looking at the statistics, it's not everybody. Not everybody has instant access to that, or even just fragmented access to that. What the blockchain allows is that you can go in and see and look for yourself. So if you don't believe, if you don't ascribe to the policy and the foundation, the logic that is being given to you as to why it's foundational, you don't have to believe that. You can go do your own research, right? So do your own research is a meme catchphrase in the Web3 space. But as it relates to DeSci, more than the other Web3 spaces, is you can actually go do that. All of this becomes public. You can go look at the data. You can go assess the metadata around it. And so that gives you kind of a better opportunity to see and to argue against and to debate. They can't obfuscate it from you. They can't, but it makes it a little bit harder. So you can have open access to it and debate it. So, whereas there is going to be it does have its pros and cons. It is going to be a Pandora's box to an extent. I think that the open nature of it and the accessibility, which goes back to the narrative that we hope to push in DeSci, is it's accessible. You can go and look at it yourself. You don't have to believe it becomes trusted. You don't have to believe the chief medical government officer. You don't need to believe everybody. You can just look for it yourself. And that's very different from how it works today.